My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Yes, it's a game we built up to that we said doesn't have any consequence in terms of the tournament, but nonetheless, it's two sides who have performed admirably throughout the course of the tournament. Sri Lanka, the ones who really started things off, opened the floodgates towards the latter half of June, and certainly there'll be plenty of pride to play for both these teams. Coming to you from Chestiller Street in Durham. In the studios, we've got Zaheer Khan and Robin Uthappa. Robin, before we talk about this game, I think we should talk right at the top about the big news for India. Vijay Shankar finally has been ruled out with that toe injury of his, and somebody we all know very well, Mayank Agarwal, gets a nod in, subject to ICC approval.
It's good news for Mayank, but also quite unfortunate for Vijay. You got to feel for him. A lot of speculation and a lot of hard work has gone into him being a part of this side, and the fact that he come into the tournament, got an opportunity to play, and then misses out because of a toe injury is quite unfortunate. But Mayank is someone who's done well over the last few years, and he's been exceptional with the way he's batted, approached his batting, with the way he's played, especially in his first Test match at MCG at a full house. To go ahead and play the way he's played was amazing, and I think a lot of his hard work, a lot of his efforts that he's put in is actually bearing fruits today, and it's bearing fruits for him over the last 6, 8, 12 months. So it's a really good phase for him in his career, in his life, and I hope he maximizes it and really goes out there and enjoys the experience.
And it shows that he's the kind of person who can do that, because we've seen him in 2020 cricket. He's got a good list A record, but I think to me what stands out for him is walking out on Boxing Day against the odds and making a debut like that. Shows the temperament he has.
He has been consistent in the list A cricket and first class cricket for sure. That's how he got into the Test side, and he made use of his opportunity, and he has taken it from there to the next level. So I think it's a very smart replacement from India, because yesterday only you saw KL Rahul struggling with his back and not taking the field. And we all know how important that opening slot is. That's a specialist position. Indian team has already lost Shikhar Dhawan. So that hole is a concern, and the replacement has taken with that kind of thought process is what my feeling is. They're seeing that, okay, we might need a cover for opening batsmen, and Mayank has batted in the middle order as well.
Yes, he has.
He's someone who is used to batting in the middle order, so it gives that flexibility as well. So I think it's a very smart decision taken at this stage in the tournament, because 70% of the tournament is over, right? So you got to be now on top of things and knowing exactly what you want. And it's unfortunate that Indian team has had two blows, which we didn't expect actually, and that's a critical part. So leading up to the World Cup, we often were talking about, okay, what are the options, what are the injuries scenarios and all. We saw Bhuvneshwar Kumar missing out few games, we saw Shikhar Dhawan going out of the tournament, and now Vijay Shankar. So I think it's a great opportunity for Mayank. I mean, things have been working out in that fashion for him in the last year or so. With be it Test matches, he wasn't part of the squad going there, but he got picked. Then having a good T20 stint at IPL, and now getting a real wild card entry in the World Cup.
Proper wild card entry.
Not unlike even the Test match where he replaced Prithvi.
Yeah, but it's amazing. I think it just goes to show what an open-minded person he also is. One does believe that whatever happens to you, you also need to be open for things to happen for you. And he's an extremely open human being, someone who's very good-natured, very happy, and always lively and happy. Goes about his life in a very positive manner. And to see such good things happening to a good guy is a real feel-good factor. It really feels good that he's making it and he's getting to this biggest stage. After all the hard work that he's put in, after all the runs he's scored, and it's phenomenal for him.
Yeah, but also when something like this does happen, that communication you spoke about has to continue to happen, because you've seen Rishabh Pant already get a game in the middle. Now, assuming if things progress the way they progress, if Mayank Agarwal were to get a look in, you'd still have to make sure that communication goes in with the likes of DK continued.
Well, I think in these kind of situations, it's important that how you look at the situation, and possibly Mayank is the right candidate for that, because he has been in this situation in that on that test tour when he made his debut. So I think he'll be very ecstatic about the news, and I'm sure that with that enthusiasm and momentum, he'll go there. He'll have enough time to settle down as well.
Yeah.
It's not one game is tomorrow. India is playing Bangladesh tomorrow. So after that, by the time he reaches there, he'll miss that game. So there is only one game to go, and then semi-finals and finals. So let's see. I mean, depends on how KL Rahul's fitness is also shaping up. So that's something we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. That's going to be an indicator in terms of how he's shaping up.
Just imagine, Zakba, if he goes out there and misses out the next couple of league matches because he's going there, getting accustomed to the conditions, plays the semi-finals because someone's injured at the top of the order, or God forbid, KL can't make it, and Mayank opens at the top of the order, scores 100 in the semis, in the finals, and India wins the World Cup. That would be like, that would be amazing.
Hold that clip and keep it. If something like that doesn't happen, we'll play it out over and over again. And we'll send it to Mayank as well. He's one of those very humble, nice guys that you can get. After Boxing Day, I sent him a little clip. Front page of the papers, there was a photograph of him playing the ball under his eyes. And I sent him that picture saying, we all loved it, proud of you. And he looked at the picture closely. He says, that picture actually has my eyes shut. I had my eyes open, trust me, all the time. It's just one of those freaks photographs where he was like this. Anyway, let's keep our eyes open and keep our eyes peeled on the points table. And start things off, because that's where the premise of why this match isn't as significant. But a quick chat about what's important up top, while Sri Lanka and West Indies will just be playing for pride. Australia 14 points, can get to 16 if they play against South Africa as we expect them to play. India can get to a maximum of 15 points.
Yes. For me, I'm not a big analyzer of these little nitty-gritties, and for me, I like to keep it simple. And I think go out and win our games, do what we can, that's in our control. And if we look after what we can, that's in our control, then the points table and qualification and all of that takes care of itself. You don't have to go into so you have the next match, win the next game. You win the next game, move to the next game, you win that game, and then you're sorted. You don't have to worry about who's scoring or what's happening outside or what calculations need to be made, what the net run rate is. You go out there and you give your best. Then you give yourself the best chance to kind of qualify. And I think India have done that. We've done that. In a sense, we're there and thereabouts. It's about which position it's going to be. And I think after yesterday's loss, they're going to make sure that they pull up their socks and finish the league stage on a strong note, so that they move into the knockout stage with momentum on their side, which is critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's never a good time to lose a game, but if there had to be, it wasn't a bad time to do so, because you've almost got that cue written. The only reason we haven't written it is because there's a mathematical, bizarre possibility of India not qualifying. So you cannot put it down until it's a certainty.
Yeah, we can write Q almost.
You can write Q almost. Of course you can write.
Put a light shade of Q in bracket.
Light shade of Q.
I think the kind of cricket which Indian team is playing, that you're certain that they will go through. Plus also the kind of permutation combinations which are going around. For India to not qualify from here, I think there'll have to be two really miserable days. So
yeah,
that I don't see it happening. Also looking at the teams which they are playing against. They are playing against Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, as you know, that has had a World Cup which is full of up and downs. The reason they are there with the on the points table a little higher than West Indies is just because of the washed out games which they had. Who knows if they had played all the games, how where they would have finished. Their World Cup stint has been very patchy. And to add to that, now today they've lost the toss and has to bat again.
Yeah.
And batting has been their concern through and through the tournament.
Correct.
So that's the reason you've seen changes as well. So so today's changes is also another indicator of the fact that they've just not really found those options who would claim their spots in the playing 11.
Well, that's it. So Nuwan Pradeep is out. We knew that Kasun Rajita would get a game. Finally, Jeffrey Van der Sar gets in, and there's no Dhananjay De Silva is there. And Lahiru Thirumanne is there in the middle order as well. So Avishka Fernando will open the batting. So that's the Sri Lankan lineup. Otherwise, all the familiar faces are there. Malinga, Udana, De Silva has been bowling well. Angelo Matthews, of course, playing as a specialist batsman. Let's have a look at the West Indies. With 3 changes to Sri Lanka, we know the change to the West Indies is because Kemar Roach is unwell, so Shannon Gabriel gets back into the team. I'm not sure it's a change they would have wanted, but given that there's nothing much to play for, I think they'd be absolutely okay with that. They'll just want to go out and express themselves.
Yeah, they just go out there and express themselves. I expect, or I anticipate this West Indian team to go out there and really, take control of this game from the get-go. I feel they'll go out there, there's no pressure. I think they'll go out there and just express themselves and really have fun. And in general, they're the kind of people who like to go out there and enjoy themselves and play cricket and have fun. And this is like the ideal opportunity to actually do that for themselves. And I think that's what they'll go out and do. I feel like they'll dominate this game. I have a feeling they'll dominate this game.
And they certainly want to dominate this game, because if we have a look at West Indies cricket, let's just remind you, if you have a quick look at the history of World Cup cricket, 75 and 79, they started out, they threw down the gauntlet, they were the champions in the first 2 years, and then when things started to go wrong, 1983, they obviously reached the famous final against India, lost on the 25th of June, and 1987 onwards, if you have a look at the amount of the win-loss records, it's not something they'd want to look back on with fondness, because they've just made that one semi-final in all these editions, and in 1996 that was.
Post those World Cups, I think this year they will be most disappointed with, because they had the squad of youngsters, and it was a good mix of youngsters and experienced players to put up a good show. They started well, by winning that first match in a very one-sided affair with Pakistan. Looked like they're prepared with some kind of planning around it. Looked like it might be one of those campaigns like the T20 wins which they had, where they just started enjoying cricket again and did smart planning and everything was just coming together. After that first win against Pakistan, that team gave those kind of signs. They progressed it to the game against Australia till about 30-35 overs, till Nathan Coulter and Alan Smith took it away from them. And after that, they've just kind of lost direction in terms of picking the squad, the playing 11 and the strategies, overdoing the short ball stuff. Not really things coming together for them. It just kind of went haywire after that, and they just couldn't control. So I think the points table where they are lying at the moment, and the kind of squad which they have, is not really justifying. And you would want to see that the remaining 2 games they win and go on a high, because I was thinking that West Indies was one of the dark horses for this World Cup. They had the ability to surprise teams, and they started like that. It's just that they couldn't close the moments. They were not proactive. In terms of the potential going forward, I think this team has shown that they have those youngsters. Puran has got great potential. Hetmeyer, the Shai Hope. So that's something which certainly they should look at building on. Obviously, Chris Gayle will make way for another youngsters to come, but on the whole, I think the table doesn't really justify their position.
Absolutely, and exactly what Floyd Reefer, the coach, has been saying, echoing your words, that the future of their cricket is good. Hope, Puran, Hetmeyer, O'Shane Thomas. John Campbell is someone they rate very highly. He's a hard-hitting. He's probably the next Chris Gayle that they consider. So, they've got futures in good hands for the West Indies, and lots of flourishing talent coming through the Caribbean Premier League as well. But it's small moments that can change an entire campaign.
Yes, so what you see amiss with this West Indies side, or in general in the West Indian side over the past, maybe decade or so, is the fact that at least from the 2000s, it felt like there's no one there who's willing to take that responsibility to lead that side or take ownership for their performances or ownership for performances of the side. You think that, if someone like Chris Gayle or, obviously there's a lot of things going on in West Indies cricket. You can't, it's easier to speak from while you don't know the whole picture, but you just hope that because there's so much talent within that group. You just hope that a few people took that responsibility, and they've done that in T20 cricket, and you've seen the results are there to see. They won two 2020 World Cups over a period of a few years, and they're a very formidable T20 side. With one day cricket, if you have guys like Shea Hope coming in taking responsibility, Nicholas Puran coming in and taking responsibility, it seems like the only guy who's taking ownership about the whole group is the leader, is their captain, and he's become like he's developed as a leader, has gotten better and better with time. His performances has improved because of his ownership of his performances, the leadership with which he's going about his business. You can see that there's certain assurance of him performing. Jason Holder, that when you see Jason Holder, that he's going to give you something with the ball, he's going to give you something with the bat. He's a dangerous customer. That he can go out there and put up performances that will really take this team ahead. A couple of more guys like that in West Indies would do them like a world of good.
Hold that thought, Robin. With the bat and the ball, I think I need to put him in my team. I haven't quite done that. My 11 circle team, missing Jason Holder in there. Thank you for that tip, Robin, free of cost. And let me remind all of you that you need to get your teams in as well. Put in Jason Holder if you like, so what? I won't tell you the rest of my 10. And select the match. That, of course, is Sri Lanka versus West Indies from Chestiller Street. And even though it's cold up there, and even though Dada may not be physically present at the ground, he's sitting in Birmingham making his teams, and he's going to compete against you. Another possible person to put into that team, I reckon, is Avishka Fernando. He's been very impressive in the first two games, and from a neutral perspective, we've all enjoyed watching him so much. We just hope he can convert that 20 and 30 into a big one. Because if you see a big one, imagine how...
He's a player for the future, isn't he? You know that just the way he batted in that first game, I think he got 49 or 48. He just batted phenomenally in that game.
49 or 39.
You know that he's a player for the future with the likes of Rishabh Pant and Prithvi Shaw and these players. They're like the next generation of cricketers that are coming in. So that this experience would he'd hold it very dearly. And if he's slightly sharp up there, then he'll use this experience to hold him good in good stead in his career moving forward. So he'll be really looking to capitalize and gain as much as he can under his belt moving forward into his international career. And I think for me, he looks very Aravinda De Silva-esque, and it's good to see someone in Sri Lanka come back and play the way he played, because I've been a huge Aravinda De Silva fan.
Yeah, I think we all are. Good comparison he's made, because there were times when De Silva was also accused of being entertaining but impetuous. So he'd play a fabulous innings but probably get out. One of the rare times was when he made that 145 in Kandy in that 1996 World Cup, and of course in the final as well. But the two shots that Avishka played to get out, those are the ones you'd want to sort of wrap him on the knuckles saying, we were enjoying it, what did you do?
Well, as a batsman, you often get criticized for that. I mean, at times you just back your instinct too much and back your strength. So playing short ball has been his strength. That's something which we've seen, and that's why everyone is rating him so high, because he was comfortable playing against fast bowling. Has that back foot play, which is important to be successful at the international level. So he has shown those signs, and that's why everyone is rating him, saying, okay, he's not put up the numbers as yet. With time, as cricketers, you evolve and understand what it takes to be consistent at the international level. So that is an ongoing process which will happen. And when you start your career, you have the luxury of making mistakes. So you can excuse him for making those mistakes at this stage. But maybe today he'll have a great opportunity, because predominantly we've seen that there is overdoing of short pitch bowling from West Indies pace attack. Apart from Cottrell, maybe he will look to pitch the ball up, but others will be looking to make use of that bounce. Shannon Gabriel is also someone who is backing his angle, which comes into the right hander, and the pace and the hard lengths which he bowls has been his strength. So he can back himself to play a good innings, because the tactics of West Indian bowlers have been on that side. Kemar Roach is not playing today. He was in terrific rhythm. Troubled a lot of Indian batsmen as well, with his lengths. Is someone who was looking to bowl the traditional English kind of bowling, where just skidding through the deck. So that's something which is opportunity for the likes of Fernando's and Karunaratne for that matter, because he's also looked good with his back foot play. For Sri Lanka to put up a good score, you will want Karunaratne to anchor the innings, because that was missing in the last match which they played, where Rabada got him out on the first delivery.
yeah.
I think, if he gives that start and anchors that one end, then Sri Lanka will be able to put up a decent score on board.
And that's what we want. But another great matchup we're talking about, which of course on field we'll get to see a little bit later, but nonetheless worth talking about now. Two men with the most distinctive hairdos in the entire tournament, stalwarts of the game, possibly going up against each other for the last time in an ICC event. Lasith Malinga and Christopher Henry Gale, both characters, both contributing, both great servants of the game for their respective nations. I'm sure it's a good time to pay tribute to them, no matter what the significance of this game.
Oh, absolutely. Done so much for their own respective countries, but also for international cricket. I think Malinga, was one of those guys who, not pioneers, but one of those people who really brought these unorthodox actions into cricket. And Sri Lanka have been known for that, to be very unorthodox and have room for being unorthodox, and Chris Gale is a pioneer of sorts. He's the kind of guy who's come in and just revolutionized cricket and opening the batting. And Sehwag was definitely there at the top of the order, but just with power, just raw power to come out there. And he can start off slowly, but at the end of the innings, you'd feel like, man, this fellow's batted so quickly. How has he done that? And he's done so much for T20 cricket, for the shortest format of the game. And I think the modern game, in a sense, because I think the game is moving towards power. I think batting is moving towards power hitting. You can see by the number of sixes that have been hit over the last few years in different tournaments. You could take the IPL, you could take one-day tournaments, you could take World Cups, you could take ICC tournaments. There's the power within the game of cricket is becoming larger and larger. So, I think he was one of those pioneers who actually brought that about. Him and Sehwag and Gilchrist and all of these people.
Look, every time you ask him a question, Chris has this standard catchphrase. He says, "To be honest, I'm the best. To be honest, universe boss." But both Malinga and Gale, if you look at this tournament, you've seen Malinga, the two games that he's done well, Sri Lanka have won. Chris Gale, 1.5, in the sense that he got a 50 in that win against Pakistan, nearly won another game for them against New Zealand. Look at that fabulous knock, 87 of 84, when Brathwaite got the 100. But you can see they've been impact players in this tournament and throughout their careers.
See, I'm a firm believer of this one thing, that all the great cricketers or athletes, they have something up their sleeves. When they say that, okay, I'm going to do this, they'll make sure that something extra they will bring to the table when it's required, and the big occasions gets them going. So Chris Gale possibly was looking at this World Cup in that fashion, to go on a high, to have a World Cup, which the memories which he can cherish for rest of his life, and becomes a testimony of sorts to his career, which has been so fabulous. Like, the Gale force has become Gale force after the T20 rise of T20. But if you look at his career, everyone has just kind of, that has overshadowed his achievement in Test cricket as well. The man has got triple hundred in Test cricket as well, and he's someone who has always been passionate about the game. Doesn't really show it that much with his actions, but inside that fire is always burning. And the fact that last 2-3 years, how it has been, everyone has been saying, oh, has Gale done and dusted now? Is his career over? But he kept coming back, and that's something which shows that how passionate he is about the game, and how much he enjoys going out there on the field and putting up those classic shows which he puts up. It's like when Gale leaves, there is more tension to the bowlers because he's watching the ball closely, and when he's hitting from the beginning, there is even more tension because then he's going strong. Yeah. So that's how his career has been. Like, he was one of those batsmen who, if he's there at the crease, there's always this concern that no required rate is comfortable. So that's the kind of reputation which he had. You talk about Malinga, and you see that there's this guy who has gone about his business very quietly. he had made such an impact on white ball cricket. But when you interact with him and when you see him play on the field, he's very quiet. There is no exaggeration, there is no sledging. He'll just come in, he'll run in hard, he'll bowl, he'll go, he'll take wickets, he'll bowl those Yorkers, he'll have that impact. But the kind of passion which he has also shows from the kind of comebacks which he has been making. I mean, he has some about 6, 7, 8 years back only he was struggling with fitness. Doctors had told him that, you can't really continue playing cricket, and it's the passion, is the belief that makes you do things, and he believed in it. He found a way of sustaining at international cricket and kept bowling. So that is something which is a credit to him. He still has a lot of cricket left in him. There is no doubt about it. Yes, with World Cup and both these guys, I'm sure that it's not that we've finished seeing these lot.
Absolutely.
It's just that the World Cup is a milestone event, and we know that these two stalwarts are not going to be there for the next World Cup. So they got to enjoy these last couple of matches.
And we've, of course, enjoyed hearing about them and watching their wonderful careers as far as the World Cup is concerned. We've got a question. I'm not sure if it's about these two, but let's find out what Joy has for us today in our Joy Factor question. And here we go. The closest anyone has come to breaking this test record, fascinating question, is Michael Slater at Sydney in 1999. But even he fell short. Which record and who holds it? Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Get your answers back as quickly as you can. Just as quickly as we'll get you our My 11 Circle expert couch prediction. We haven't quite worked out a formula for the alternative. All right, we have. Our producer has worked it out. We need a prediction for the score at the end of the 10th over.
End of the 10th over? That should be easy. I'd say 37 for 1.
2. 1, 2?
2.
37 for 2. Avishka in or out?
I don't know.
Okay, fine.
What is that?
All right.
Why are you so concerned about Avishka?
He's in his team.
All right, go for it, Zach.
Avishka out and duck.
Oi.
Spoken like a true bowler. Mind games.
You just built him up.
Do you get negative for that? No?
Yes, -1.
Yeah. Okay.
He's not
I'll spare you from that then. Okay. 10 overs, 45 for 1.
All right, 45 for 1. Maybe I'll just go a little bit higher than that. I'll go 51 for 2. 51 for 2. So we've got 3 reasonable scores. Trying a new experiment, and the winner of this will sit on the My 11 Expert couch in the mid-show. And we, of course, on the 15th over, will bring you Cricbuzz Combox after we have decided the winner of this. This has been My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. We'll see you soon.